Hey, this is Ralph, and in this video we are going to practice together phase one of what is going to, I guess, end up being a really long quiz. So we're going to have a hands-on quiz, and it's going to be untimed. I don't know how it's really different than an assignment, but I wanted to give you something a little bit more directed and a little bit shorter, and then what you can work on in the assignment can be a little bit more free form, doing your own thing to some degree. So what we're going to do here is you are going to end up creating two navigation menus that have a sub-level, a drop-down, so to speak. And we're going to do one of them together. The one we're going to do together is this one over here at elevationresort.com. And the one you're going to do on your own, I'll tell you later in a separate video, so that way that's going to trigger kind of like the start of the quiz. Okay, so let's see. What do we got here? This is a pretty simple menu, and by the way, I came across this when I was doing the participation activity. Needed an example. And you don't have to browse around the web for very long before you find one of these. But this one, under the amenities menu, they got a little drop down. Pretty nice. Very simple menu. And we get an indication that there's a drop down with this little arrow. And we get our options. And the little arrow points up. Pretty nice and very simple, and I think it's a good starting point. And it's not that nav menus with submenus are necessarily complicated. They are a little bit complicated though. But I think it's a really good culmination of skills. And if you can start to make navigation menus, these little secondary navigation menus, or next week when you make some mega menus, if you can do those kinds of things, you should feel really confident and proud of your web development abilities, because we're going to be using a lot of the things that we've already done. That's another reason why this quiz is going to diverge. You know, there's not really a lot of questions I can ask you that I haven't already asked you. So I suppose I could just pull questions from older quizzes. So let's get to work here. Now, I've already started a little bit before I turned on the recorder. So I've got a page started, and I'm calling it, what am I calling it? quiz7.html. And I intend for you to put both of your nav menus on the same page. So you'll notice in the body of my page, I've got headline 1, quiz 7, multi-level menus, cool. And I've got an article with ID menu 1. I'm going to be doing my work in this video right here in this chunk. And I want to make this particular nav menu. In fact, since I'm right here, let me go ahead and start up. I'm going to do a set of nav tags, I'm going to do a set of unordered list tags, and I'm going to have a set of list item tags with anchors. I can just do dummy hyperlinks, no big deal, but I guess I'll make them somewhat realistic. Rooms. Copy. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Specials. Come on. Gallery, amenities, that's going to be our drop-down menu right there. And then groups, ampersand, AMP, semicolon, weddings. Sure, you can just do an ampersand, but there's actually an entity that produces an ampersand. Many years ago, sometimes I would have problems just using an ampersand because of its binary nature in a web page, but I think browsers have improved. I've never seen those issues again, but just kind of a call back to the past there. Ampersand, AMP, semicolon produces an ampersand. So I think that's pretty good for now. Whenever you're creating a multi-level menu, don't try to think about steps 7 and 8 before finishing steps 1 and 2. So step 1 is just constructing the basic navigation menu that we see up here, the basic horizontal nav menu. I've got my unordered list, got my list items, and I'm going to keep my page narrow like this. I guess I can bring it a little bit wider, of course. Don't need to see that much. There we go. And let's see, I'm going to Alt-Z, turn off word wrap, just so things look a little neater, but I won't hide any of the code here. Okay, so that's our good start. Now, how does my page look? I actually have my page open somewhere. There it is. It's blank. It's all over there. And I'm going to do some internal styles. So let's see. I don't want to go there. I want to go to here. There we go. Now, off to the side, I've got some new colors that I want to play around with for my page. Obviously not important to this one, but I needed to start working up in the styles. I'm going to be doing internal styles, and excuse the noise, our trash is getting picked up here at the moment. And let's see, what do I want to do? Well, I'm going to start off with a root, if I can spell the word root, and we'll do a font size of 62.5%, so that way we can easily use root M's. I don't think I'm going to do any variables today. Variables are awesome, I love them, but let's just focus on our menu here. Okay, I'm going to go to the body of the page, and I'm going to set my background color to hashtag 56CBF9. I went to Coolers just before starting up. Found some neat, cool Miami Vice kind of colors. And we'll do a foreground color of just, I don't like bright white. I'll do super light gray. And then a font family, Verdana. Sounds good. We'll just do that one. Okay. Still just aesthetics. I'm not even in the menu yet. And what color did I pick for this? Background color. Hashtag FF729F. Okay, nice pink. And we'll do a dark gray for that one. Okay. So basically now I'm starting to work on that. Now I can't see my text up there because my text is going to be really small. Remember I did that root M. So let's see, I'll just do something like a font size. Let's see, what do I want to do? 4.8 rems, that's about 48 pixels. And text align center. We should start to see some stuff now. It doesn't look really big though, does it? Did I type something wrong? I do have an H1, right? Yep, there's an H1 right up there. Did I mistype something here? Background color, font size looks good. It's centering. That doesn't look like 48 pixels to me. I guess it could be 8 rem. Well, do you see it change? All right, something's not up. Okay, so I must have made a mistake here somewhere. So let's see what we've got going on. Here's my root. That looks okay. Let me take out my font size real quick. Now you're probably watching this and you probably see my mistake right away. And you're like, it's right there. It's right there. Just click that. Let me just clear out the font size. So I'm not getting, I've got margins there. I've got all that. Well, let's do is my menu. Yeah, my menu is showing up. There, all that looks good. All right, I'm going to close this. Head back over here. Dispose, go live. Let's see if I just need to freshen this up. Well, I don't want to take up a bunch of time here diagnosing this. It's just, it's a little confusing, right? Background color is working. Foreground color looks like it's working. Text align center. All right, I'm going to come back to that in just a moment. Let's see. What else do I want to do? I've got a headline 2 on here. Okay, so for my headline 2, I'm also doing something a little bit wacky. Background color. And I'm picking, what am I picking? Hashtag 81F4E1. There we go, that light blue. Again, we'll do color, hashtag 222. I'm going to do text align center as well. And I'll do a font size on this one. Let's just try 3 rems. Should be 30 pixels or so. Well, that definitely looks bigger. It's not the decimal. Normally decimals with rems work fine. Let's give it another shot up here. Font size, let's try 5 rems. Now it looks really big. Let's try 4. Got smaller. Let's try 4.5. Got a little bit bigger. Who the hell knows? Okay, I guess I'll leave it there, and let's go ahead and do a little bit of margin, 12 pixels top and bottom, 0 left and right. Don't forget, we can use rems for that as well. So I could do something like 1.2 rems top and bottom. Here we go, a little span. Let's get some padding on there as well. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess that's enough messing around there. Let's get to our menu. So now that we get to it, I guess I'm not doing anything weird with colors anymore, so I don't suppose I need that picture with my color codes. And off to the side, you can't see this, but I do have a picture of the menu that I'm working on, so that way I can kind of glance over at this picture and kind of get a reminder of basic look. Our goal for this is not necessarily to mimic it perfectly. Don't worry about that kind of thing. Our goal is really just to show that we can make a clean, simple, multi-level menu. Just one little sub-menu here. So we've got that part, but I need to go ahead and create the main part of the menu. So now remember, I'm going to be referring to hashtag menu 1 because I expect at some point there will be another menu down here. Hashtag menu 2. And this menu is also going to have a little submenu, but I'm not going to tell you about that until at the end when you're officially starting that phase of the quiz. Okay, so I only want to style this first one, so I'll be doing a lot of selectors with that hashtag menu 1. Let's get to work here. Now let's see. So that we can see what's going on, I'm going to go ahead and mark out my section here. Menu 1 styles. Good enough. Hashtag menu 1 nav. Now let's see where we're working here. I'm going to go ahead and give this a background color. Ooh, can I get the same color? So I'm going to jump over to their website. I like that shade of blue there. I'm going to press, what am I going to press? I'm going to press Windows Shift C. Gives me my color picker. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to grab the hex. I'm just going to copy that. So Windows Shift C, that gets me a color picker. That's if you have the Power Toys installed, Microsoft Power Toys. So I've got that hex now. I'm going to jump back over to the code somewhere on here. I guess I can close that. Paste. Need a hashtag. Okay. And I need to do that. Cool. So I've got the background color. Let me make sure I can see my work. There it is. So it's that dark gray right there. Just ignore that menu 2 part. And if menu 2 is getting distracting, I could always jump down here. Menu 2 styles. Hashtag menu 2. Display none. Just get rid of it for now. Okay, so I've got that. Now, what I need to do though, and this, I'm just going to be glancing over at my picture. Remember, this is the right side of that menu. I'm going to get things kind of pushed over. So I'm going to jump back and forth between a couple things here. Menu 1, unordered list. And I'm going to put a border on it. Border 2 pixels, solid yellow, so you can really visualize it. So now you can see that that unordered list is filling up the space because it's a block. That's what blocks are supposed to do. But here's what I want to do instead. I'm going to take this unordered list. Now let's work up here in the nav. I want to make my unordered list smaller, and I want to keep it over towards the right side of the nav. So with my nav, I'm going to do display flex, making it a flex box parent. And you can see I can't see my yellow border anymore because it's all the way over there on the far left. Cool, can handle that. And let's do this. justify content. I'm going to do this one right here. Flex end. Pops it over there on the far right. Excellent. Now for my unordered list, what do I want to do with this one? I don't need much, but I could do this. I could do list style none to get rid of the bullets. I could have done that for the list items as well. That looks good for now. I'm going to hold off for a moment. And now I'm going to jump down here and do menu 1, unordered list, list item. Now, I want us just to focus on this main horizontal menu going across, but I don't want us to forget that we are going to be making a submenu, which is going to be another set of unordered lists, another set of list items, and things like that. Now, there's different ways we could go about that, but I think what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to manipulate the direct child unordered list of menu 1. Now, that's not going to work though, is it? Because, oh no, that is good. Menu 1 is, oh no, menu 1 is my article, and then I've got a nav. So I need to do it this way. I need to include the nav in there. So the unordered list is a child of the nav, and the nav is a child of the unordered list. The reason I want to do this, because later on when I do a submenu, which is going to be another unordered list, I want to make sure I understand that that unordered list is not the same one as the parent unordered list, which means I should probably do the same thing down here. There we go. Okay, now for this list item, I really want to see these things, and I want to see them side by side. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Well, let's go ahead and make the font bigger. So I got my picture off to the side here. There it is. So I'm just going to keep glancing at that picture and typing some things in here for my list items. At least some of them, because some of these are going to be the anchors too. So, in fact, let me jump down here and do that. Menu 1. Child nav, child unordered list, and then, you know what, all the anchors are going to have the same look, so I can just do a descendant anchor right there. All of the hyperlinks. And let's do a couple things here that I can see. I can see that their color is bright. And I can see that there's no underline. So I should say none, not underline. And I can see that they're all uppercase. What else can I see? I can see that they're a little bit larger. So I'll do a font size of 2 rems. How does that look? Looks pretty darn good to me. Cool. Maybe they're bold. This is probably just a font difference, actually. But I want to get these things side by side. So list items are block elements. So now I'm wondering what I can do here. What if we did something like display inline block? Yeah, I like that. So that gets those list items stretched side by side. Now it could be, I could have just done display inline for the same effect, but I think I like inline block a little bit better here because they were already a block element. And as display inline block, it's still going to allow us to manipulate certain things about them, you know, like their width and their height if we chose to do so. We may not need to do that though. Now let me get back down to these anchor tags. So these anchor tags, I'm going to put a temporary border on them so that we can see them. 2 pixels solid and red. So I like to be able to visualize them in there, and I want them to be nice and big and chunky. So let's give them some padding. How about 12 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right? Is that going to be too much? No, I think that's going to be fine. Okay. Now I can see that my parent nav is not really growing the way I might want it to. Now since we are being specific with heights here, I think it's actually going to be okay. I think I should be able to work this out just fine. So let's do this. I'm going to set the height of this nav to 70 pixels. Interesting. So things are getting lined up by the text but that padding is not being accounted for in my nav. Okay, interesting enough. So let's see what we can do about that. I still like the idea of the padding. Now the reason I like the padding is because it increases the clickable zone of those anchor tags. So that way I can mouse anywhere near the word specials or gallery and I get that hyperlink. But obviously I need to get these things down a little bit. Now we have a couple of options with this. What do I like the best though? And just so we know, padding is really that key issue. So if I didn't have that padding there, the anchors would really be where they need to be. So instead of doing that padding right there, well, in addition to, I should say, let me go up to my, and I don't want to put padding on the list item, by the way, because if I did padding on the list item, that would create more space, but it wouldn't necessarily be clickable space. So let me go up to my unordered list, and I will do this though. I'm just going to put a small amount of padding just around, just so we can visualize those anchors in there. Okay, now I'm going to head back to these anchors, and here's what I want to try next. Display inline block. Let's do that. Okay, you may not have noticed they moved a little bit. And now I'm going to come back to these and put in some padding. I'm going to put, let's do something easy to add. 15 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right. There we go. So by changing the default nature of the anchors from inline to inline block, that's getting something more that I might like. Now I'm actually curious, what if I didn't have a height set on this nav? Cool, then it's going to expand and accommodate. And I think I'm actually quite happy with this. Now, out of curiosity, I'm going to go to my list items, and I'm going to put a border on them. 2 pixels solid and green. Because I want to see the boundaries. Oh, excellent. This is what I was hoping for. So it's a little tough to see, but my red bordered anchors are tightly within the green bordered list items, and the green bordered list items are, of course, side by side. That's what we want, okay? So this is going to be something you will do in practically every navigation menu you're going to create, especially if they have a horizontal, especially if they have a sub-level menu. The fact that this is horizontal versus vertical, no difference. So in order to create a nice big clickable zone that's also fingerprint sized, but nice big, use padding in there. Now there's a couple other ways we could have done this too. The reason I went this way though is because we have in our menu, we have some menu items that are quite long, groups and weddings, and some that are kind of short, like rooms. So whenever you see menu items that are varying sizes, that prevents us from doing something like display block and then setting the width for all the anchor tags. So these are variable widths, which is a good way to go. And we're using padding to increase that clickable zone. Excellent. Okay. I'm still going to keep my picture there, even though I think we're pretty much getting what we need to. So now that we've got this, I'm going to leave those borders on for a little bit, and let's go to the next phase of this activity, and that's making the drop-down menu. I know about the little arrow. I suppose we could stick a little arrow in there now. It's an easy way for us to do a little arrow like that. Do we want to grab an icon, or can we just... Yeah, maybe a little feather icon is a way to go. Is there something? And, I don't know, triangle? Oh, that's a neat little triangle. I kind of like that one. It's not quite the same, but it's pretty darn close. And let's see, I'm going to set the color to hashtag EEE. Okay, it makes it gray. I'm going to make it just a wee bit larger. I don't know why, but let's size it up a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. We can obviously size it. That looks good to me. And actually, let's just do a real quick check. Arrow? Do they have arrows? I don't like those arrows. It's not bad. You know, you could use that one if you want. What if I did a search for crescent? Nope, they don't have that. Suppose you could also make one too. You could just use a character, you know, like a greater than sign, and point it downward. That might look, no, let's just do this. I'll do a triangle. We'll pretend it's an arrow. Okay, so I'm going to click on this one, and let me open it in the folder. It's triangle SVG. Okay, I've got it opened up over there. Ooh, can I just drag it over into VS Code? Is that going to work? That'd be cool if it worked. Images. All right, let's give it a shot. Drag it into here. Hey, I think that worked. Excellent, and it's an SVG, perfect. By the way, with an SVG, you could go into there using your editor, and you could actually change the color code. You'll see the color code in here somewhere. There it is, stroke EEE. So you can actually change the color right inside of that for an SVG. I could make it a little bit thicker, change all that stuff if you want. That's what's cool about those SVGs. Well, that's neat. I've never done that before. So, excellent. So that works. So I don't need my images folder open anymore. I'm going to head back over to my page. Let me close down some of these other things. Close that folder. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to do this part, I think, down here. I'm going to head down here. I'm going to mess around with amenities. Image. I'll put this on another line. Image source equals images / stroke. No, triangle. .svg. I'm not getting my little screen tip, but I guess I won't worry about that. Alt equals empty set of quotes, since it's not really a functional. Yeah, let's see how that looks offhand. Yeah, there it is. That's what I would expect. Okay, don't do that. I want to do this. Okay, so we see that little triangle next to it. Oh, actually, is that part of the hyperlink, though? Oh, I can't test on a picture. Let's go here for a quick. So if I hover over that, yep. So we can see hovering over the triangle is also triggers the submenu. That's actually kind of smart. So let me jump back for a moment to there, and then back over here. And I really want this to be inside of the anchor. So I'm going to take this whole image, move it up into the anchor. But I will still put that on a separate line. Okay. Now I think I'm pretty good with this, but I might want to jazz it up a little bit for this particular anchor. And I might be able to do this with all of them, because I don't want that image to impact the size of the anchor itself. Obviously, I don't want it to look bigger than those other ones. So let's do a couple things here. This is all of my anchor tags. I'm going to try this out first. Position relative. Okay, that doesn't do anything yet. And then I'm going to go to that anchor. Menu 1, nav, unordered list, anchor containing an image, position, absolute, top 0 pixels, right 0 pixels. Now by doing this, that takes it out of the lineup. Now, but I still need some space there for that little triangle. I think I really want to treat this particular one different. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, you know what, this list item is going to be special. This list item, class equals submenu parent. Let's do it this way. Submenu parent. So that way it's really clear. This list item ultimately is going to be containing my submenu. And then I will head up here, and now I can do something like menu 1 dot submenu parent padding right 30 pixels. It's not the list item that I want, it's the anchor within that list item. And it's not that one, it's going to be the direct like that. Okay, let's go a little bit bigger here. I don't know if that really did much for me. 50 pixels? Ah, there we go. So now we're getting some space to work with, and I'll just exaggerate it, make it 60 pixels, looks good to me. Now I can be a little bit more specific about the positioning of that little triangle. Let's see, I'm gonna move it more from the right. So I'm gonna say 4 pixels. I'm just looking, I'm just trying to eyeball it here, nothing too fancy. 8 pixels, 12. All right, I think we're about where I might want it. 15, and let's move it down a little bit. Let's just go with 15 to start. Too much. 10. Now, of course, we could be even better about this. I'm just gonna stick with this, but of course we could position it 50% from the top, and then we could translate it so that it's centered nicely. So there's a couple ways to go, but that looks pretty good to me. However, we need to have it pointed downward. So transform rotate. Come on, spell the word. I don't know, 180 degrees? Is that what I want? That's what I want. Okay, it sure is bright compared to all those others. So, but I guess I'll leave it that way. And yeah, no big deal. Cool, I think that takes care of things. I'm gonna pause my video real quick. This video is going a little bit longer, so, but that's okay. I'll just make this part of, just take breaks and stuff like that. I know I'm going pretty slow here, but I'm trying to explain a few individual things as we go, and hopefully these techniques you'll use later on. But I'm going to pause this real quick so I can go get a beverage. Okay, I'm back. Got myself some Diet Coke. Where were we? Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with this main menu. So now it's time for the submenu. So I'm going to jump down, and I'm still relying on my picture here. Submenus go inside of the list item of the parent menu item. Yes, they do. So I'm going to give myself a little room to work. So even though it's hard to see right there, I guess I got to move this over a little more. So I'm working in the list item that's class equals submenu parent. Oh crap, I'm supposed to officially have office hours. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to open up Zoom, start my office hours. Okay, I'm going to put that off to the side. Participants, enable waiting room, play sound when someone joins. Okay, so the mic's not on, or the mic is on, but the video's not working there because video is on the recording software. But at least now I've got over that. So obviously if I need to, I'll just pause and jump away. And I can see that off in that other monitor. Cool. So inside of the list item here is where I'm going to be creating my submenu. And I'm going to indent this as well. I'm going to create another unordered list, and I'm going to go ahead and give this a class equals submenu. And then I can close up that space there. There we go. So now we have a submenu. We have an unordered list within the list item of the parent menu. And I'm going to create a href equals dummy. Oops, I need a list item, of course. List item. Pop that over there. And this is going to be spa ampersand fitness center. Now, of course, this is going to start to look really messy over here, but I'm not too worried about that. Okay, let's not worry about the surgery in the middle of the surgery. Let's see how it works at the end. I don't know if that's a good analogy. You should probably worry about surgery in the middle of the surgery. Copy. Let's see. I'm going to do paste 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then what do we have? Ski ampersand bike rentals. 9380, 9380. Reminds me, I was watching the snowboarding competition there with Shaun White. That was pretty neat, watching the Japanese guy won the gold. Fantastic stuff they were doing. Tavern, restaurant, and bar. Eleve, hair and nails. And then preferred vendors. Okay. There's an accent on that, but I'm not going to do the accent. There would be an entity that you would look up for the accent. Gosh, now I'm tempted to look up the accent. Boy, let's see. You do not have to go to this level. Sometimes I get on a little tangent, but it's something I don't think we've ever done before, so it's always nice to see. HTML entities accent. Let me just do that. And let me just click on this. What is this? Sites.psu.edu. Is that Portland State University, maybe? Oh, Penn State. Symbol codes. By the way, stuff like this is also neat things to put in a web development portfolio. So if you've got a web dev portfolio and you offer just some little piece of content that other web developers may need to look up, that gets them going to your site. Now, this is obviously pretty big, but clearly they just picked, these aren't all the entities. They picked entities which maybe they use a lot. There's a lot of math ones it looks like and stuff. So they were using things that come up in their work. And yeah, you could do stuff like that, and it becomes a resource to other people. Yeah, now maybe I'm not going to go ahead and explore this portfolio or what else they have, but still, that's something that a portfolio is good for offering. Free content to other people that are in the same industry gets them relying on you and your site as a resource, gets them coming back. Now, even though I talked it all up, I'm actually probably not going to find what I was hoping for. It's just the first one I clicked on, which I guess we should talk about that when we get to search search engine optimization. So yeah, I do see accents and stuff like that, but I was actually hoping to find an accented E. So that was pretty neat. That came up first, or right down here. Accented letters. I don't want that. I just want to find the answer. E? Here we go. E acute. That's what it is. I've used it before. I just couldn't remember what it was. So acute. There it is. E acute. Ampersand E acute. All right. So where's my page at? There's my page. There's my code. Let's close some stuff. I don't need that open anymore. I had my colors on it. And I guess I will leave a lot of this other stuff open. Do I need this open anymore? I'm going to close that. It's Obsidian. That's a good little, it's called a Markdown Editor. I don't want to get too deep into what a Markdown Editor is, but kind of neat just for keeping track of information. Just basically like a fancy text file, I suppose. I'm going to keep my email open. And keep that open. Do I need this Excel open? No, it's just our class topics here. So here's what I'm working on right now is the quiz for our multi-level navigation menus. Then we're going to work on large-scale navigation menus next week. And then it's basically creating a web dev portfolio, which we're going to be working on for a couple weeks. And then some search engine optimization stuff. So yeah, and then we're pretty much done. So cool, let me go and close that. I don't need that, but I will save. Okay, where am I at? Eleve. Instead of that E, ampersand, E acute, semicolon. There we go. Now I got my little accented E. All of that work just to get the accented E. I should probably put timestamps on here when I'm doing stuff, so that way you don't have to sit through the whole video of me rambling. Okay. Now, of course, this menu looks pretty messy because I just added all of this new content, but that's okay. Now, I do see, based on my picture, notice all of these submenu items are all the same width. Look at that. They're all the same width. And of course, that means sometimes the text has to wrap a little bit, but them being the same width is important for us to know. That's something we can do earlier or later, but let's just be aware that this menu has slightly different styling than the main horizontal menu. Okay, now in order to take care of this, I need to do some positioning. So my list item that is the submenu parent needs to be position relative. Technically though, you know what? I'm going to do this to all of my list items, because although only one menu item has a submenu, we can pretend that all of them do. And I can say position relative. Perfect. So I'm doing position relative for the list item, for the parent list items. Okay, now I go to my submenu, and I could actually write it out. Let's give myself more space there. Menu1 dot submenu. In fact, just so we can visualize it here, border 2 pixels solid yellow. I'm going to do yellow again, and I'm going to get rid of the yellow border up here on this on the main unordered list. Don't need that anymore. So now we can really see that, and I'm going to do position absolute top 0 left 0. Now when we do this, obviously our horizontal menu really looks much better. It's gone back to the way it looks, or the way it originally looked. And we can see now that things are looking a little bit neater, and we can really control where that unordered list shows up. Now of course this unordered list looks like it shows up right down here, and look, it's actually, when I go to amenities, it's actually even more to the left of it. So remember, this navigation menu is positioned towards the right side, to the right side of the web page. So they probably do these submenus going towards the left just to make sure that nothing gets pushed out. All right, well that's kind of neat, and I'm pretty good with that. But let's change the top positioning. Now, do I know how tall these anchors are, these menu items? I could probably figure it out, right? Because I did set a font size using rems, which means I know the pixel size of these fonts, and I know how much padding is above and below. So let's see, did I choose like 2 rems? That's 20 pixels. I think I may have like 15 pixels of spacing, so that's 15 and 15, that's 30. So if we were to start estimating at around 40 pixels, right? 30, 40, 50 pixels. We should be in pretty good shape. Let's see what happens, and then we can fine tune where necessary. Okay, so 50 pixels gets us a little bit down there. Now, I do have to tell you, the borders do affect us a little bit, but I'm going to kind of ignore the borders for a moment, and I think I'm going to leave this at 50 pixels. So I'm going to leave it right there. And we'll find, we do need to change it to the left though. So let's push it a little bit more to the left. Or do we position it from the right? Because it does look like, the way the submenu opens up, the right edge does look like it lines up along there. So maybe that's the way to do it. What if we did right 0? Doesn't look any different, but I think that's going to be a good way to go. And then what we can do is menu1 dot submenu, and then the anchors. The anchors within the submenu, these are going to be display block. My submenu is an unordered list. I'm going to do this. List style none to get rid of the bullets. I don't like those little bullets there. And then my anchors display block. Now I can just start to guess at something. I can do a width. I'm going to just try something like 120 pixels. Oh no, much bigger than that. 250 pixels. Okay, I'm just kind of glancing over at this, and I just want to see, should I stretch them out so that my menu kind of goes underneath. Now, obviously my font sizes are a little different, but it definitely goes completely underneath gallery to the left. So 320. That's looking pretty good. And I'm also looking at the wrapping of this text here, 9380 Tavern, Restaurant, and Bar. On their version, the word bar is the only thing that's wrapped. So I could probably go a little bit wider. Yeah, that actually is not too shabby. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, of course, these anchors should have similar characteristics as the others, so I'm going to go ahead and set a background color. And I want that same shade of blue that I used before, it looks like. Where is it? Oh, it's the nav. That's what I did. Where is it at? Copy that. Paste there. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm going to get rid of the red borders on the anchors. Could put them back just for testing, but yeah, I wanted to see them without those borders. I'm going to keep the yellow borders on there and the green borders on there for now. And now I want to just reproduce these little thin gray, medium gray borders there. It looks like they're just on the tops. If I can see those anchor tags, just on the tops there. So that yellow border is going to distract me, so I'm going to get rid of that yellow border. Okay, now I'm going to go to these anchors, and I'm just going to put border top 2 pixels solid, and I just want it to be maybe this color but lighter. So if I take that exact same hex code and make everything closer to the F, so instead of 2, 3, I could do something like 4, 5. Instead of 4E, I could do 6F, and instead of 6A, I could do 8C. So similar but lighter. So basically I'm taking all of those characters, bringing them closer to the F end of the scale, makes them lighter, and I'm going to call that pretty darn good enough. And now that we've done this, we can see that, okay, maybe my 50 pixels was a little bit too short. I'm going to knock that down to 54. That's actually starting to look pretty good. Oh no, let's go a little further. How about, let's go big, I guess. Let's just change it to 60. Now there is going to be a point where I go too far, and that could be too far. I'll explain why in just a moment. But actually they have this showing up just underneath the nav. All right, I'm going to push it down a little further. So that way it kind of lines up to the bottom edge of the nav bar. That looks good right there. Yeah, I'm just trying to get it roughly lined up. I think this is going to cause me a little bit of a headache, but I'll show it to you pretty soon here. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with this nav menu. It looks pretty much like this one. You could definitely tell that we are inspired by this particular version of the nav menu. So, okay, so a couple things. This submenu is only supposed to be displayed when somebody is hovering over the submenu parent. So now that I have it positioned, I think where I want, here's what I'm going to do. Display none. Submenu goes away. Menu 1 dot submenu parent colon hover dot submenu. When I hover over the submenu parent, the submenu is going to be display block. And there it is. Move away, it goes away. Move, there we go. So that's the idea. Now here's the real test that always, it throws me for sure, and it definitely I think throws a lot of people new to this. I'm going to slowly move my mouse downward. That's what I want to avoid happening, okay? So I don't want my menu to disappear when I move downward. Here's what's causing that. I'm going to put a border back on. Actually, no, I think it's good with the border that we have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to display block so that we can see it. Okay? And the problem is the green bordered list item is what I'm hovering over. And I need to make sure that my submenu, and see, here's what I want to see. I don't want to see that gap there. That little gap, that no man's land, is what's making my submenu disappear because I'm no longer hovering over the unordered list, or I'm sorry, the list item. So here's a little trick we're going to try. the trick we are going to try is this. How do I want to do this? Okay, I'm going to put a border back on this submenu. 2 picks, solid, and we'll go for red. There we go. I want the red border to touch or overlap the green border. So I'm going to move my positioning up here. So instead of 64 pixels, and it's going to make something look ugly, but that's okay. We'll fix it up soon enough. That's not good enough. I'll try 56. Getting close. How about 54 pixels? Okay, I think they're overlapping. So here's how we could test it. I'll do display none on the submenu. So now when I hover over this, there's that, and I'll mouse down. Great, that's what I want to see happening. Okay? So I don't want that little space. So I always want to be able to hover over those elements. Now, of course, but that doesn't look right, you know? Let's put this back to display block. It doesn't look good that way because it's overlapping. It's not showing up where it should. So let's see. Well, what we're dealing with is the submenu, the unordered list. Certainly, we can put some space on top of it, right? What if I did something like padding of 10 pixels? Ooh. What if we just did padding top of 10 pixels? Okay. Now notice with 10 pixels of padding, here, let's check this out. I'm going to do display none. Hover over this, mouse down slowly. There we go. See, I have a visual gap, but the two items are really touching each other, so I can just move right into there. That's no problem whatsoever. And just checking my office there. And let's put this back to block for a moment. Because what I want to change is I don't want to see that blue. I want to get this gap nice and tight. So 10 pixels may have been a little bit too much. 8 pixels? That looks pretty darn good. Okay, now that I've got that 8 pixels, I'm going to get rid of the red border. And I'm going to get rid of those green borders. I don't need those anymore. And I'm going to head back to my submenu parent, or submenu. I'm going to change this back to display none. So when I hover over, we get this. Nice. And then I can mouse down and I can select these other things. Cool. Yeah, it's not too shabby. Now obviously there's a few other minor little design elements that I got going. So this, whenever I hover over this thing is supposed to rotate and go up. Let's see, do we have our original still available to us? Where is it at? Where's it at? Elevation. So when I hover over this, you can see that appears. Actually does a nice little fade in. I don't think I'm going to do the fade in here. Fade ins can be tricky a little bit, but basically what I would do on that fade in, don't even bother trying it. But if you wanted to, I would probably expand the menu really quick on hover instead of just having it display quickly. It would be like a size of 0. Everything would be sized super small. I'd size it big really fast over, let's say a fraction of a second, and then I would have it fade in. You can't put a transition on a display, which is kind of a bummer. And then you could have it display in by changing colors from transparent to white or transparent to blue and stuff like that. But I'm not going to be expecting that. However, I do like the little rotating arrow. So let's do that. I'm not changing colors apparently today. I think you can handle that part. That's pretty easy. But let's just go ahead and change that rotating triangle there. So let's see. Now when I hover over the submenu parent, I'm doing a couple things. I'll put this right above it for some reason. Menu1.submenu parent :hover, and then I want to take the anchor tag that's in there, and I want to rotate it, I guess again 180 degrees. I think that's what I need to do. Let's test it out. Well, we don't want to do that. I don't want to rotate the anchor tag. I want to rotate the image that's within the anchor tag. That's what I want to do. Oh, it didn't change anything. Let's see. Am I done? Image within the anchor. I think that's correct. I'm going to change this to 0 degrees. Yeah, that is. Yeah, because I did 180 degrees before, which is taking it from its original location, pointing up to down. 180 degrees is basically what I had. So, okay, so I'm not doing, so it's weird. So I'm starting off with a rotation. Basically, I'm getting rid of the rotation, and then I want to put a transition on this. So I'm going to go to my, right up here where that original image is. Transition, the transform, and I don't know, 400 milliseconds, that's 0.4 seconds. Ease in, out. Let's see how that looks. I don't know, it's all right. Theirs goes really fast, I think, so that's probably why it looks better. 200 milliseconds? Yeah, good enough for me. So, yeah, I think this is reasonable. Obviously, we could spend more time changing some colors out, but I think this gets us to the gist of what I wanted to show you. And since my video is almost an hour long, you're probably getting pretty tired of me. So I think we're going to go ahead and call this one good. That's our take, our inspiration, based on the Elevation Hotel and Spa nav menu. And then for my Web Dev 2 students, you're going to have a quiz coming up that's going to have generous time allotment, and maybe I'll offer some kind of extra credit bonus if you produce it within a certain time frame. But in your quiz, you're going to be producing another nav menu, or mimicking another nav menu that has a submenu, but I won't tell you about that until you start the quiz. So thank you very much for hanging out with me. There's our version, and hopefully you just pause your recorder whenever you need to see various chunks of code. But once again, there's our HTML, and talk to you later. Bye.